What's going on, FA Nation? Jon Impemba here with James Grande. Welcome into the Fantasy Line NBA DFS podcast and live stream recording for Tuesday's 6-game main slate. James, right before we went live here, we were commenting that we have two of maybe our more frustrating organizations on this slate here, San Antonio and Detroit. Never seem to know who's going to be in or out of their lineup on a given day as they tank for Wembayama. So guys are in, guys are out, guys are healthy scratches, but quote-unquote sick. Some guys are getting load management, though there's like a week and a half left, 2 weeks left in the regular season. So we'll have to wait and see on exactly how these statuses are. But I will say this. For the first time in a little while, this is maybe the cleanest we've had for a slate.
Oh, you!
I know. I'm jinxing us now.
Literally cursed it.
I'm jinxing us now, but I'm saying, we already know who's out for the most part. And we don't really have many, questionable players here either. So,
Sacramento on a back-to-back.
Right. Fingers crossed. Yeah, but Sacramento doesn't...
They don't rest. Yeah, they don't rest, guys.
Right. And they're home this time. So, that kind of plays, I think, a little bit into it as well. Though they were in Utah last night. So they're going from Utah to Sacramento on a back-to-back. So... little travel, but I think I would be surprised if someone sits there. Do we know if OKC is on the front end of a back-to-back?
I know they have, when they initially announced, when they initially announced that Shea would be resting, they said that he would have 4 back-to-backs left. No.
Okay.
They do not play tomorrow.
Good. Because it wasn't necessarily I was worried about that someone's sitting, but then they just play guys 20 minutes and you're like, great.
Washington front end.
Okay.
That looks
it.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. I'm scanning real quick and trying to pair, and I haven't had enough coffee to do so yet. So it looks like that's the only front end we have gone.
So we got Washington, Orlando, Detroit, Atlanta, Cleveland, Brooklyn, San Antonio, New Orleans, Boston, Sacramento, OKC, and the Clippers. Talk to me about point spreads, game totals. Which ones are we standing out to?
So there's actually a couple big spreads we should pay attention to today. Atlanta at home, even with DeJounte Murray listed questionable. 14-point favorites against Detroit. Very enticing total of 237, but obviously 14 points is a lot for a team to get. 11.5 in the New Orleans San Antonio game. This San Antonio already announced a whole bunch of guys out. Actually, I think they're on a back-to-back. Yes, they're on the front end of a back-to-back. That's why they're resting guys. So San Antonio 11.5 point dogs, 232.5 total. That total opened at 235, so being bet down quite a bit.
Yeah.
New Orleans, for the most part healthy. Sans Zion and Alvarado, but they obviously should pick up a win there. Slate load, to no one's surprise, Cleveland, Brooklyn, because anytime Cleveland's on a slate, it's disgusting. It's gross. 219 total there. Cleveland giving Brooklyn 3 points on the road. Slate high in Boston, Sacramento, that has been bet up to 239.5.
Well, that's the way that Sacramento played defense last night. That's not too surprising. I guess.
I would say in general how they play defense. But 239.5. I believe Rob Williams is returning for Boston.
Yep, not on the injury report. Can't imagine he plays much, but not on the injury report.
I think it is worth noting, and maybe this is something and why it's a 239.5, because Boston has been one of the best defensive units in the league. Since the break, I was just looking it up, 14th in defensive rating, so they have slipped, and I do think that's in large part due to Rob Williams being out of the lineup. He's a force down there, and Boston having to play different lineups there without Rob Will probably.
Yeah, and then when they don't have Al Horford and they're out there with Blake Griffin and Grant Williams,
True. So, 239.5 there, and then 238 in OKC LAC. Big trade between them a few years ago, trading SGA and Paul George. That was the swap. So that will be interesting to watch. Clippers, 6.5 point favorites. But, Don, what do we know about the Oklahoma City Thunder? They cover spreads, and they play games competitive. And They
and they're actually good. They're also
they're
actually a good team. So
as of right now,
I mean, they beat Phoenix the other day. So like at some point, we just got to give them their to-dos here, and like, you know what?
So John, they are, if they win tonight, okay, they would be a half a game out of the 6th seed.
Who's their center?
I'm telling you right now, SGA is playing back-to-backs the rest of the year. They're the 9 seed, half a game back of Golden State for the 6th seed.
Did they call Poku up? He's got no injury designation.
I don't think so.
He played 15 minutes in a G League game on the 17th.
I mean, we'll find out, right? We'll find out before the game. Let's see if there's been any
I don't see any updates on him, but there is no questionable out or tags or anything, so
I mean, I guess
he could be up.
Okay.
Right?
So he's gonna play. Okay, so this is what Mark Dagnall said.
Okay.
Head coach Mark Dagnall was asked about Pokusevski's status. Quote, and this is obvious. Quote, he is going to play with the Blue, which is OKC Blue, their G League affiliate, and the Blue season ends Thursday. So 2 + 2 = 4. Okay. So we will see Alexei Pokusevski by the end of the week. Okay,
there you go. Good to know. What they do with Alexei Pokusevski, we'll never know because we can never figure that one out ourselves.
But a good piece to have down the stretch.
For sure, it could be. Again, I just don't know who they're playing at their 5. Jalen Williams, obviously, and
Williams.
What, Saric?
Yeah, they're playing Saric. Robinson Earl is playing a few minutes here and there. Jalen Williams, Osman Dang is playing a few minutes. But think about this. I mean, they were starting Kenrich Williams.
I was gonna say, right. So they're just playing a bunch of small ball, I guess, right? Like that's just what's going on.
So let's see. So their versus Suns. I mean, they're starting Jalen Williams. They're starting the dual Jalen Williams, who played 21 minutes. Lindy Waters played 23 minutes.
Isaiah Joe played 27.
Yeah, like they're just playing small. Like they're just.
All right. Well, that's good to know, I guess. But yeah, man, they're just. They're
fun.
They're playing well. I want to also point out that on this slate here, we talk about star power, quote unquote. Jayson Tatum is your top priced player today at 10.5. Sabonis at 10.4, and then nobody else over 10K. So. Not having to worry about Giannis, Jokic, Luka, Embiid, those guys that are 11, 12K. Not today. Not on today's slate. So could have some pretty interesting lineup builds because there isn't a clear and obvious, we'll say, like, have to get this guy. He's going for 80 in the lineup here today. So let's go. Let's go over to point guard here. SGA and Trae Young, your 2 guards up over 9K, 2 guys that we love playing, especially when they're under 10K. Yep. Both been playing out of their minds. Which one do you go with right now?
Both. Either. Whichever you prefer.
Yeah. I mean, Detroit, the better matchup. Maybe OKC, the more competitive game.
Yeah, I think that's and we know SGA is going to play more minutes.
Yes. True.
Trae is just going to settle in even in the competitive games, 33, 34, where SGA can get up to like 38. So.
Yep, I'm with you. I think both are good. Maybe you can play 2 by the time this day is over. Maybe you can get them both in your lineup. Big price bump for Spencer Dinwiddie, up to $8,500. Again, I know his price tag has been trending that way. He was $8,500 the other day against Denver as well, but we were used to paying under $8K for him.
Yep.
Are you getting to 85 against Cleveland for Spencer Dinwiddie?
No, and I can get De'Aaron Fox for 83.
Yep.
Or McCollum for 8K. I mean, De'Aaron Fox, again, like we said it yesterday, there's never a reason for him to be 8,200. And like, did we expect him to score 37 actual? No, but like, it's obviously in his bag.
Yeah.
He's been a 9K, like floating around 9K all year.
I mean, he scored 30 or more now, 3 in the last 5.
Right.
So,
and look, Boston's defense again just hasn't been the same as it was earlier. Boston in general. Yep. As you know, like they just haven't been the same team, and could they be? Obviously,
still some All-Star break hangover, I guess.
Right.
I don't know what's going on with them right now.
But let's $239 total and a price tag that's too cheap. I I am perfectly fine with getting Fox, and McCollum has a pretty gosh dang good spot himself.
Agreed. Guys in the mid range here: Garland, Westbrook, Fultz, Ivy. Anybody jumping out of the picture here for you? You get 33 and 34 minutes out of Westbrook. 34 and 37 minutes out of Westbrook the last 2 games.
Yeah,
I know Kawhi wasn't in one of them, right? So
yeah, but he was in the Portland one.
Yeah.
I do like Westbrook here. OKC return. Not that matters. And that's not even a return. It's not that matters.
He's facing his old team. Yeah.
Facing his old team. And I mentioned that Tyronn Lue was toying with rotations, but now we're seeing like Zubats as the clear center. We're seeing Westbrook as the clear point guard. Like they're just kind of settling into these roles. Like Eric Gordon seems to be their 6th man, right?
Yep.
Like that's just what's happening. And yeah, Westbrook 71 is a great spot. Garland, we know his GPP upside at all times. He has 50 in his bag. Just snap of the finger.
Speaking of 50, 2 of the last 3 games for Markelle Fultz over 50 fantasy points.
Yep. Minutes are there. Production's there. Bad shooting night makes up for it with 10 assists last game. Yeah, I mean, it's a great spot too. Who is Washington's without Kuz?
I think he's questionable, or is he out?
No, Kuzma's out. Kuzma's out.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, it's a good spot for Fultz. 7K.
Yeah. I mean,
it's a price we're not used to.
Because of the 50 fantasy point games, right? So
yeah.
But it's not like out of the range for him to hit that.
No, it's not.
So,
no, it's not.
Again, we talk about it all the time. I mean, the guy was the number 1 overall pick. He just had a very long road to getting back, but we're starting to see some of that talent shine through. 5 years later?
I can't wait for Anthony Bennett's return.
Yes, Anthony Bennett. Yeah, to get back. Yeah. Other guards down below here again, upper 5Ks. Cole Anthony's been playing a lot of minutes. Malcolm Brogdon, as we know, a guy that we've been in on, continues to play really well. 31 minutes again for there. I know Marcus Smart didn't play in one of those games. Didn't play against Utah.
He didn't play in the Utah. Yeah, Brogdon didn't play the front end of that back-to-back, and then Smart didn't play in the back
Correct. Trey Jones, questionable. So could see Malachi Branham here again. Novacell already ruled out. So Branham started anyways over Jones the other day. Just like, because why not? Because why not? Monty Morris at 48. Anybody down here just off the board for you?
Yeah, I mean,
Blake Wesley.
Whatever Spur. Yeah, I mean, it's literally whatever Spur plays. There's no Vassell. McDermott's questionable. There's no Sohan. There's no Zach Collins. There possibly could be no Jones, Graham. Like, Branham, Wesley would just fall into our laps in our player pool. Yep. And like, just kind of is what it is. Yep. And that's the the shitty part about having the Spurs right now. Like, they're listing 6 guys questionable or out every single slate. This is kind of like the Heat earlier in the year, where the Heat, Spoelstra was actually just like doing it to piss off the league. Pop's just doing it to show them that they're tanking. Like, correct. I would want to play Monty Morris if I knew I was going to get the 28-minute Monty Morris.
What happened? Did you just get in foul trouble?
They got blown out in that game. They got
foul trouble, blown out. Yeah, that's what I meant.
The Kings scored like 70 points in the first half.
Mm-hmm.
They just had no chance.
Yep. All right, let's go to shooting guard. Paul George is 93. Jaylen Brown is 9K. Donovan Mitchell down to 88. Bradley Beal at 84. Your 8K range, top 4 guys.
Yeah, man, I think all of them are in play. Like, George is, a GPP darling at times when he does what he did last game. Like, Paul George is one of those guys that can literally do everything on a basketball court better than everyone else at all times. Like, he can shoot, he can play defense. One of the best two-way players in the NBA. Same thing goes for Jaylen Brown. We got
Brown, I guess, is the best matchup of the group here.
Brown is the best matchup of the group for sure. The best game total of the matchup of the group. Mitchell, was involved in blowout last game. Hasn't been shooting great. Peripherals are not great, but we know there's 50. I mean, there's 70 actual point upside. Yeah. And Bradley Beal has no Kuzma. I will say I played him in the Sacramento game. Super disappointed. Should have thought about it back to back. They just looked flat. Yeah,
Porzingis sat in that game. Like, it just wasn't a good.
They got flattened. But like I would go back to Beal, no Kuzma here. Beal has big usage rate without Kuzma.
Yep.
So I like all of them. Mitchell probably being my least favorite of the group.
All right. DeJounte is questionable with a non-COVID illness, so something to watch there. Potentially Bogdan getting into the starting lineup here for Atlanta. Mikal Bridges down to $7,800, a really tough spot against Cleveland. Giddey, as we've been talking about, the minutes starting to stabilize a little bit more for him at 76, which we like to see. And then you go down Wagner, Murphy. You talk about Rodney Magruder playing a lot of minutes. Where are we in the mid-tier range for shooting guard here? 6-game slate, the depth of the player pools kind of drop off at some positions, and shooting guard after that top range feels like it kind of dumps down a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Is Huerter already officially ruled out? No. Okay.
I see him ruled out, yeah.
No, he's not.
That's for
he's
Monday.
not.
Monday,
They haven't yet. Because especially with the late game, they don't have to get their injury report out yet.
I love that Rodney Magruder's just playing like 30 minutes out of nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, as much as we don't want to play Rodney Magruder, he's going to play 32, 38, 34, 37 minutes.
Why? Why is that who they're going with? Right?
I mean, they I don't know. I mean, no Burks. I guess if Livers comes back tonight, that would cut into Magruder's minutes because they were starting Livers and playing him big minutes beforehand.
Right.
But they don't really have any like other wings.
Yeah, there's no Diallo, right? So
yeah, no Diallo, no Bojan. Like they just not gonna play Buddy Boeheim.
Right.
So, I mean, if Livers is out, I guess I would consider Rodney Magruder, and then.
Would you rather play Rodney Magruder or Cole Anthony?
Probably Rodney Magruder if there's no Livers.
Okay.
But I don't hate playing Cole Anthony. It's consistent 27 plus minutes, and then it's a consistent double-digit shots. Mm-hmm. He's good. We know he's good peripherally. So.
Yep. No Jalen Suggs as well. So.
No Jalen Suggs as well. Yep.
Bogdan, as I mentioned, if Murray's out, probably one of the super chalk plays in the slate.
Agreed.
You mentioned Eric Gordon and his role now off the bench for them. I'm good getting there if you're looking for some value on this slate as well. Can we trust Isaiah Joe with the 27, 24, 24, 29, 28, all about if he hits his shots, as we say every time, but
it is.
The minutes are at least there for him down to 44. I guess Romeo Langford could start here in this game, right?
Yeah, we probably see Langford. We could see Langford start. He was starting earlier in the year.
Novosel, so.
Same for Kispert.
Yeah.
Kispert probably starts for. Yeah. He started for the last game.
Yeah. Listen, Kispert consistent with the shooting lately, so.
He has been.
Good to see here. No, does Denny start? You think, or does Kispert
no? They started Kispert over Kuzma last game. Okay. They played Denny. Denny checked in for Kuzma. So they started Kispert for Porzingis. I mean.
Yeah.
And then Kuzma left that game and came back, but they checked Denny in.
Denny 1 for 9 shooting, but had 11 rebounds and 6 assists in that game. So.
Yep.
Interesting. Something to watch there. Denny, $5K though for Denny. It's not like he's the cheapest value play. Anybody else down here for you?
Look at that, John. Terrence Davis 5 minutes without Kevin Porter last night. Shocker.
Yeah, Malik Monk got 23. So
Yeah, I think it's they played what's his name? Kessler Edwards 20 minutes, and then Trey Lyles was back, so they played him a bunch of minutes.
Keegan Murray went off, so
Keegan Murray went off, so yeah, they played him a bunch of minutes. So like, if Huerter sits, like you have your Malik Monk dart here,
sure.
But there it goes to show you like trying to catch lightning in a bottle twice with Terrence Davis. That's why I was like good for the 10% that played Terrence Davis, not knowing if he's even going to play 5 minutes. Like, good for you guys,
Yep. Norman Powell being out definitely helping Eric Gordon's probably role right now.
Sure. No, sure. I completely agree. But it is worth noting that he is, in the rotation.
Yep.
Someone in the rotation, AJ Griffin for the Hawks back in the rotation.
Sure.
If there was no DeJounte, he played 21 minutes the last 2 games, making a lot of shots.
Yep.
28 and 18 fantasy points at nearly min salary.
I like it. All right, small forward here. Tatum's your top price guy at 10.5. You got Leonard, George, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Jaylen Brown, Brandon Ingram. Your usual suspects there at the top of the small forward position, a couple we've talked about. I guess the question really remains, are you paying up for Jayson Tatum here tonight?
I mean, it's an undeniably great spot, so I have
Robert
no
Williams back,
problem.
cut away some of the rebounds, maybe?
Probably. I mean, I have no problem getting to Tatum. I don't know if it's a priority. Like, I liked some of the point guard spend ups, I think, better, but it's also, we also looked at a shooting guard. We didn't really like a lot. Like, we could spend down for Kispert or Gordon, right? But it was mostly guys at the top.
This is Boston's 6th straight road game. That's got to be a little wear and tear on that.
Yeah, and I remember the game, I think it was the Cleveland game out of the break where Tatum spoke about being happy to just be home and sleeping in his own bed. Can't imagine he's very happy about 6 straight road games in March. So yeah, if you want to get to Tatum, the 239.5 total against a bottom 5 defense and a top 5 team in pace, sure. Right. Absolutely no problem.
And they've at least had some time off. The last time they played was 3/18. So 2-3 days of rest there for Tatum to get his bearings. So
I also love Kawhi here. Yeah. Kawhi looks really good. I mean, last game, was not great, but the 2 games prior, he's 30 plus. 3 of the last 5, he scored 30 plus. Like, Kawhi's starting to ramp it up. It's playoff robot Kawhi right now. Brandon Ingram, how can you?
I mean, I love Ingram every slate.
His spot.
Price is on the rise on him, but I mean, every slate he's just so consistent with what he's doing there. 86.
And we have Keldon with a team to himself at 70.
Yeah, Keldon broke a slate the other day against Atlanta, 54 fantasy points, 29,
Dude,
12,
he's been good.
5. He's
been really good, just kind of all around.
Yeah.
The Spurs, look at these competitive games for the Spurs. Shout out to the Spurs. The last 4 games, 3 of them are playoff teams right now. Memphis, Dallas, Denver. I mean, good for Keldon.
Yeah. 3rd game this season over 50 fantasy points for Keldon Johnson. So I'm always talking Apollo. I know the last couple of games, again, mid-30s in fantasy points after he went on a little run of 40s. I still think you can get there. I'm good with that at $7,200.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, we know he hasn't given us a 50-point ceiling. He hasn't scored 50 fantasy points since November.
Yeah.
But he's given us a bunch of 40s, and that's
nickel and diming him on the 49.5 fantasy points.
Yeah, I'm nickel and diming. That's true. Yeah, I get. Yeah, so I mean, he still has low 50 upside here.
Franz went for 45. I'll never get that guy right, but
never. We
45 against the Lakers.
He's fine, right? He's a fine last piece in. He's 300.
Cam Johnson, 41, 34 in 2 of the last 3 for fantasy points. Another guy just playing all the minutes.
Just brutal spot.
Yeah, all the minutes right now. Dort, 57. Hunter, 52. Where are we going down here?
I mean, Hunter is entered Harrison Barnes white bread conversation for me. Sure. He's
safe though. Right?
He's gonna play
4 to 5x return guaranteed every night.
Yeah. Dort's fine too. I do have some interest in Denny. Any guy that can give us 28 fantasy points going 1 for 9 from the floor is.
He has those monster rebound games earlier this year when he was in the starting lineup. So
But he wasn't even in the starting lineup in this Kings game. So that's the intrigue, I think. If Denny's ownership is depressed because he's coming off the bench, then I'm fine getting there. I know 5K, like you said, is
Yeah. Does Bates be up again in the lineup tonight?
Yeah, probably. The Spurs are gonna be mega popular.
McDermott's probable for today, by the way. So
what do we think? 20 to 24 minutes, probably.
I mean, he went for 28, 26, 24, 20. The 20 minutes against Dallas, they had more guys available, so maybe he plays 25 minutes. He went for 31, 20, 24 fantasy points in that range. So I would dart throw some Doug McDermott here today if he's active.
Thinking about their starting lineup, I don't think McDermott makes it, but
he's probably one of the first guys off the bench.
Because Sohan's out, so Bates Diop starts at power forward for sure.
Right.
So Mamu starts at center, Bates Diop power forward, Keldon small forward. Branham, if Trey Jones sits, Trey Jones is doubtful.
Yeah. And then Romeo Langford.
And then Langford,
Yeah.
or if Graham plays, maybe they double Graham and
I feel like they would start.
Branham.
I feel like they start Langford and Branham.
Yeah. So then McDermott is
maybe the first
especially
guy
if Langford's in the start. Yeah, if Langford is the starting shooting guard, he's actually their first guy off the bench.
Yeah,
so, I mean, if assuming Trey Jones sits, which he's doubtful.
Yeah.
I mean, they really don't have depth. Like Doug McDermott's probably going to play. I said 2024. It's probably 24 to 28. Yeah, it's probably somewhere in there.
So $3,600 for Doug McDermott there. You know he's going to shoot. So
yep,
that's what he's on the floor to do. All right, anybody else?
I mean, Kessler Edwards is going to start. He's going to play 20 minutes. He has leapfrog people in that rotation.
Sure.
If that's he's going to start assuming
Porter's out.
Porter's out. Yeah, and I mean, Lindy Waters played 23 minutes. I don't know if you want to play Lindy Waters.
Yeah, tough. All right, power forward. We talked Tatum, Leonard. Porzingis is under 9K. Is at $8,900 against Orlando. That's juicy.
Yeah. Yes. Love that.
Mobley at 77. Jared Allen is questionable. Still questionable. So we'll see. But Mobley obviously put up some pretty big numbers here without Jared Allen in the lineup. Great spot for him at $7,700. I like that. I don't know. Jalen Williams. We overplay defensive matches all the time, but he's going to get George or Kawhi Leonard on him. So I don't know if that worries you at all off of
a little
Jalen Williams here.
I mean, a little bit. You see all the steam coming in on Jalen Williams for Rookie of the Year. He's now second in.
Listen, the Thunder are coming from the depths of the West.
No.
And Jalen Williams is the rookie on that team that's dropping. I don't know what his March and second half splits are, but I bet he's close to 20 points a game, right?
Yeah, he's been awesome.
So there's there. Bagley came back. They said he was going to be limited. He played 30 minutes. So, I mean, we talk about how they don't have anybody.
Yeah.
So $6,300 for the bags. I guess you pay that, right? Like.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. So Jalen Duren's out.
Right.
So that, I think, is like the key that unlocks the front court, because that means Wiseman's going to play 1 billion minutes, and he's been amazing. And that means Bagley's going to play 1 million minutes. Yeah. John,
they'll play Yomiuri, right? Like,
we're going to have to play Detroit and San Antonio, like,
of course,
littered throughout our lineups.
But that's fine, because so will everybody else. So, yeah, so they're all there. Listen, we talked about John Collins. We were like, listen, he's too cheap the other day.
Did you see what he did in the first quarter against Golden State?
Yeah.
He had all 4 of those threes in like the first 5 minutes of the game. I was like, John Collins is breaking a slate. I have him in my FanDuel lineup. And then he didn't make a shot the rest of the game.
Yeah, but still, he was $4,600 and he got
No, he was great. No, he was great.
So he's up to 54. He's still playing almost 30 minutes a night. I mean, against Detroit here, I think we still play him at 5,400.
Yeah.
I don't know if we play him much more than 54, but I think we play him at 5,400.
This is probably the ceiling.
Yeah.
Price tag. Yeah.
Do you run back with Keegan Murray here? The minutes are at least been good. Shooting's been good the last 2 games.
I think it definitely helps having. It's just when you take Huerter off the floor, that just eliminates the chance of like that Murray Monk. It's Murray, Monk, and Huerter, right?
Sure.
If 2 of those 3 guys are shooting well, they play and the other one doesn't.
Right.
That's just kind of how it's been. And like without Huerter, they don't have like Kessler Edwards isn't really knocking anyone off the court.
Right.
So I prefer it if Keegan Murray's going to be popular. I'm probably going to stay away just because chalk Keegan Murray sounds like a nightmare.
Sure. You've always been a big proponent of Herb Jones.
Yeah, dude, I think Herb Jones has been awesome lately. And you know that what stands out about Herb Jones is his defense. Like, he has 3 multi-steal games in his last 4, and that's not a coincidence at all because he's awesome on that end of the floor.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that obviously could play a part here against the Spurs. 1,500, I could see a lot of people getting to him just like at this range.
Sure.
Like if Huerter plays, that I don't know if that eliminates Murray, but like I think there would be less steam on Murray if
Sure.
Porter was in. And then you look at the rest of the position. Like Grant was great last game, but now Rob Williams is back.
Yeah.
If Porter plays, that means Trey Lyles isn't going to play 26 minutes like he did last night. There really wouldn't be much. I guess you could play Royce O'Neal, John, if there's no Dorian Finney-Smith. Do you think Royce O'Neal would start and play big minutes? Because Finney-Smith starts and plays 30 minutes.
I mean, I like Royce O'Neal. Obviously, the things have changed in that situation for Brooklyn. Right. He was playing like 38 minutes a night at the beginning of the year, and he was filling up the stat sheet for you. But if he gets on the floor and plays 28 to 30 minutes, I mean, he can give you a full stat sheet. So I don't necessarily hate it. Probably not a spot I'd go unless I know for sure he's in the starting lineup.
Sure.
All right, center. Sabonis is at 10-4. Again, dealing with Horford and a limited Robert Williams. Nearly triple doubles again last night against Utah. Couldn't
do anything against the Great Wall Kerr Kessler.
Yeah, Kessler blocked his shot a few times. He went for 40 fantasy points against Boston earlier this season. So, again, only 2 guys over 10K on this slate. So if you want to spend up for Sabonis or Tatum, like we're not going to sit here and question why.
And they're in the same game. So if you don't play them, like
Yep. I talked about Zingers. Still love that 89. Mobley's there. Wendell Carter at 69. Claxton at 68 in a tough matchup. Valanciunas, 34 and 33 minutes for our guy, 52 and 45. Please just let him play. Just let him play. You're not playing Nance anymore, so just let Valanciunas play.
How many minutes does he play tonight?
I don't know, 25 probably.
Yeah.
But I mean, listen, I really like I mean,
no, me too. He's being guarded by Mamu here.
I know. What are we doing here? Wiseman at 64, as you mentioned, he's played over 30 minutes in 3 straight anyways. So, double doubles in 3 of those 4 games. I think we look at Wiseman pretty closely here. If Jarrett Allen is back, any interest?
Maybe.
Or you just kind of pivot to Zubac's?
Yeah, he's been good. Yeah, he's been good.
Zubac's strong.
And then the chalk of the slate is Sandro Mamu Kashvili.
Yeah,
Mamu Kashvili.
Yeah. Wasn't like great, but he's been good. So
he was the chalk of the slate in the Dallas game.
Yeah.
Where he just wasn't great. But then he plays 23 minutes off the bench and grabs 14 rebounds.
Yeah.
And I will say, he's out there chucking. He's out there shooting.
Yeah.
He shoots threes. He took 7 threes in his one start this year. So I'm perfectly fine getting there 4,200, especially because the whole field is going.
I'm with you. Anybody else?
I don't think so. Like, you could always dart throw Jalen Williams, the center. If you get him to play the upper 20s minutes, he has GPP winning upside.
Mm-hmm.
But it's typically in the 20s. So
I'm with you. All right, I put Mamu in there. I put SGA in there.
I agree with both. Bates Diop probably.
So we have 6K at play. So, you want to go Bates Diop, or do you want to go McBuckets?
I mean, we could. Bates Diop is definitely going to be chalky. Looking at early ownership, there's 2 guys that are projecting to be 45% or higher. It's Mamu and Bates Diop.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean we can't pivot to McDermott.
Right.
I'm just saying, like, just looking at what the Spurs have, they could go small. Like, New Orleans plays who at power forward? Herb Jones. So Herb Jones is 6'7", 6'8". So we could just pivot to McDermott. I think McDermott has as high of a ceiling as Bates Diop.
Yeah. I mean, McDermott's got to do it all in points. You will get some rebounds from Bates Diop there, so but that's fine. Well, they're $100. We'll go with the starter. We'll go Bates Diop just because he's starting.
And if that changes and McDermott randomly is starting, I mean, then we just play him.
Figure it out. So 65 a player we have left here. We can go another top guy.
Who did you spend up on? SGA?
SGA, yeah. Do you want to do Porzingis at 89?
Yeah, I think I think that's a great spot.
All right. So Bates Diop can play small forward. Porzingis will play power forward.
We could probably play Kispert as a spend down too.
I don't think we need it. Well, we'll see. I don't know if we need to go all the way down there. 59 a play, basically. Shooting guard, forward, and utility. Be cool to just plug Bogdan in there if we knew.
Yeah. They play. I feel like the Hawks have like typically played this year. Like I feel like there's been very seldom times where it's been like, nah, not playing today.
Right. Let's see here. 50. You said you like Magruder over Cole Anthony. No Jalen Suggs. Does that change anything for you there?
I mean, there was no Jalen Suggs. There's been no Jalen Suggs a couple games in a row. So I guess the only change. I mean, I want to say Magruder, but RJ Hampton questionable and Livers questionable. So like we don't know if Magruder's still going to play that. So maybe just pivot away. We know Cole Anthony's going to play 30 minutes or so.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I guess we could play 3 Spurs, right? Like Branham for sure.
No, there's gonna be Spurs littered everywhere.
Yeah.
Like Keldon's gonna probably be popular as well. They're just gonna be that's gonna be a popular build for sure.
Yeah. I'm just seeing if there was another real value. Would you? I guess we don't know the Langford status, so.
Like we know Langford's going to play 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But if he starts, is there upside for 30? That's for sure. We just don't know that. He's also been back for 4 games after 2 months off. So he should. I mean, he played 26 minutes in the OKC game, so he should. He has such a low floor. But I guess with who's out for the Spurs, like somebody has to be good.
Right. I put Bagley at the forward spot. So right now, as the lineup stands, Gilgeous-Alexander, Cole Anthony, Bates Diop, Porzingis, Mamu, Branham, Bagley, and we have a $6,100 util, which is Zubac at 59.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
I do think no Boston Sacramento kind of stinks.
Okay.
239 total, but it's hard to get to Boston.
Well,
right?
Yeah, I mean,
if they're healthy,
if we could pivot off of like Porzingis, Bagley, get to Tatum or Brown.
Yeah, it's not. Let's just stay. That's fine.
Okay. We can if we feel like it's necessary, we can obviously make some moves as rostership opens up. This is the first look at it all as well. Ray Kuhn has your playbook for today. James and I are in your Discord all day long answering your questions. If you have any final lineup here again, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Cole Anthony, Keita Bates Diop, Kristaps Porzingis, Mamu, not even going to figure out the last name there. Branham, Bagley, Zubac is our lineup. $200 left over to play around if you need it. James and I again in the Discord. We'll be back for Wednesday. Good luck. Talk to y'all later.